What is Vahrin Call?
Hello there.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you yet another exclusive preview. Vahrin Call is an upcoming single-player action RPG that takes a lot of inspiration from game series such as Fable and the Elder Scrolls. It's an interesting mix of darker fantasy elements combined with the classic Fable humor. A short disclaimer before I continue. I've received early access to the game for free, but I have complete freedom to say what I want, with the exception of showing a few things from the later acts of the game, just to avoid pre-release spoilers. For the sake of it though, I will not be showing you any footage from them at all, nor will I dive deep into the story. Also, keep in mind that the build I played on was still in active development, so some details may vary on release. And now, with that out of the way, the game takes place within the war-torn city of Vahrin, and the story sees us playing as a lone mercenary coming into the region to answer, roll credits, Vahrin's call for help. We start off with character creation, which surprised me, as it has quite a lot of freedom when it comes to its features. The only thing we can't really edit will be our body, as we are only presented with the option to choose its type, male or female. That aside, there is plenty of sliders for you to go through, very similar to what an Elder Scrolls editor would look like, allowing you to create the perfect character or the perfect monstrosity, if you so desire. After the character creation and a brief story cutscene, we are then thrown into the game in a relatively short prologue level that serves as a set of tutorials for the most basic aspects of the game.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Don't tell me what to do.
Don't mistake the intro for a disconnected section though, as there are already places to explore and secrets to find. We are already in the game, and what we do will matter. Why, you ask? Because progression in this game is, once again, very similar to what an Elder Scrolls would be like. As our character's level grows, we will only be leveling up the skills that we actually use. So, for example, if you spend all your time with a bow and never use melee weapons, you will only be leveling up your bow's abilities. Each level up comes with a skill point that you can invest to further upgrade your trained abilities. But if, for whatever reason, you felt like trying something else, you can refund the spent point for free and use them on another skill. This gives you freedom to try and find your favorite build to play with in your playthroughs. Onto the combat, it feels very Fable-coded, but with a sprinkle of Souls-like mechanics. Often you will find yourselves fighting large groups of weaker enemies swarming you as you progress through the maps and levels, which usually end with a major boss fight. We have primary attacks, secondary attacks, combos, parries, dodges, all common things most of us are already used to. And on top of that, an ability wheel that we can fill up with spells, potions and traps. The wheel can only have one active element at a time, so you will find yourself using it very often to swap between them, depending on the situation and necessity. Overall, combat felt good, fairly grounded and with decent hit feedback. A warning though, if you decide to double into melee fights, keep in mind that the timings and windows for dodge rolls and parries are very strict. You will usually need to use them during the actual impact frame. Also, the way you dodge is affected by the category of armor you're wearing. Standard armors will allow you to roll, adding more distance between you and the enemy, while on the other hand, heavy armor will only let you sidestep attacks. As you level up your skills though, those parry and dodge windows will also get slightly extended. Now on to the game structure. The best way I can describe it is this. Picture the original Fable, but stripped of its sim aspects and the morality system. Then give it a linear story with no branching options, and you'll be playing Vahrin's Call. We have a main quest taking us through the various chapters of the game, and some optional side quests along the way, but we don't really get any dialogue choice among them. So, in practice, they are just a way to get some money and gear while experiencing the world around us. Though there are definitely some bigger side quests that span through various levels, one of them even having its own 2 maps of entirely extra content.
You'll never get me in here! You Genomics are evil! I know the truth! It was you Gnomies that invaded our lands and attacked Vahrin. You may have destroyed my home, but I won't let you kill me! I'll stay in here forever if I must. Oh, if only I had a hero. Someone strong and brave who could rid Vahrin of the Gnomie menace.
Speaking of maps and levels, we have 2 distinct types that you will learn to distinguish while exploring. The more open-ended areas and the linear sections, both filled with secrets and treasures to find, but with different degrees of freedom. In the open areas we can explore and do as we please, while in the linear sections, as the name suggests, we usually go through maps that are similar in design to what a Souls level would be like. You go from point A to B through a long corridor while unlocking shortcuts to return to point A faster once you're done. That doesn't apply for all the linear sections, as sometimes there are levels that connect 2 or more open areas, for example. And on the topic of linear, gear progression is also very linear, and tied to the previously mentioned exploration. In my experience, with each new zone, if you spend time finding all of the chests in it, you will also pretty much obtain an upgraded version of whatever gear you were using, be it either armors or weapons. There is also a simple, let's say, crafting and upgrading system, where we can dab in alchemy, for example, to create our own customized potions. In trapping to upgrade our traps effects. In the forge to upgrade our gear. And in the spellcrafting table to level up our spells. Moving on, I will not be talking about the main plot, but I will say that personally and unfortunately I didn't feel very involved in it, which is a shame. I couldn't really get attached to my character. At the same time though, I have developed an interest in the game's world and its lore, which makes me desire for another game set in the same universe. So I will say that's a plus. All the characters in the game, with the exception of our own, are voiced, and I think overall the VAs did a good job. I heard at times a bit of mud and popping sounds coming from their microphones, which could have been cleaned up better in post-production, but it wasn't a deal breaker for their performances.
Travel swiftly for Stone's Reach. You'll find supplies there to see you through your journey. And keep your wits about you on the roads. Our lives may very well depend upon this information reaching the Keeper.
I beg of you, come with us. I can only imagine what horrors await back in the city.
You know that I cannot. I will not abandon Rygus.
The judge is dead. Surely you must know this.
Then I will see his corpse with my own eyes. Until then, my oaths hold. You there. I would urge you to keep those rather large ears to yourself and return to whichever soul-forsaken hamlet spat you out. You're as likely to have your throat slit as you are to be ravaged by Aethspawn within this cursed city.
Speaking yet of the characters, specifically humanoid ones, I wasn't a big fan of their models, but they did fit in the game's world, so I looked past that.
Praise. What's wrong? Did you run out of fingers to count on?
Please, stranger. Stay. I have coin, and I'm in desperate need of aid.
Visually the game looks pretty nice, and performance-wise ran really well on my machine. Loading times on an SSD were fairly quick, so I would say the optimization overall is quite good. The only minor personal issue I had with the graphics is about the global illumination, and I'm not even too sure about that. Allow me to explain. When walking under the sun, things look really pretty. When walking under the shade of trees instead, for example, it felt very flat. It's a bit hard to convey with words, and it's not deal breaker. I believe it's just a matter of having pre-baked illumination, and I think the game could have really scored a few extra points in the pretty department if we had a more dynamic system. Away from visuals, stepping into the music, just like with the sceneries, it was very pleasant to the ear and fit well for each area of the game. It's hard to say if it will leave any lasting impression, but I believe anyone could easily tell that they really put some good effort into its production. So, hat down to the composer and the musicians. And now on to everyone's favorite topic, bugs. I am happy to report that I have not encountered any significant bug while playing, with the one exception being that sometimes I tried some not very conventional jumps and ended up getting stuck in a couple of funny places, as you can see. Despite that, the game felt like a polished product, which is not that common these days. Vahrin Call is releasing on PC on July the 27th, 2026, and I will say I have enjoyed my time on it. If you're looking for a game to scratch your action RPG itch and you've liked what I showed you, I would definitely recommend this to you. Hope you enjoyed this preview, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let me know if the game is to your liking. See you next time.